Hello. So I just finished teaching class, and I thought it might be fun to share with you some of my teacher tips. So I've been kind of doing this feature where I've just shared some observations that I have learned over the years of being a dance, yoga, and fitness instructor. So one of them that I think is interesting that I like to talk about is studio space and time in the studio. So one thing that I have learned as an instructor is it's important sometimes to kind of be gentle but have firm boundaries with your studio or studio space. So what do I mean by that? I mean that 9 times out of 10, all of us instructors rent out space, whether that be like what I do, which is renting out space in a community center. So that's a space that other people use as well. We're on a schedule, etc. Or if you're someone that rents out a whole facility just to yourself. Either way, both have their pros and cons. Sometimes I find that students maybe don't understand that a lot of times we pay by the hour, we work, we have to kind of really stay on schedule, and that sometimes they just want to borrow the space. They feel that maybe because they take classes with you or because you're kind to them or things like that, that now it is their space. So something that's been hard, that's come up a lot for me, is one, being kind of clear with students that once our class time is done, I love to chit chat, I love to hear about your day, I care about them, but I also kind of have a schedule that I have to run, and it's a business just like any other. In some very busy yoga studios, things like that, they might literally have a class waiting out in the hall. So I always encourage students to keep the party going, keep the fellowship, keep the fun and community, but maybe go do it out in the lobby. So that is definitely one thing. Another thing too is people reaching out to you wanting free things, whether that be free classes, which could be a whole other thing, or what we're talking about here, free studio practice space. And I just want to share that in my journey as a dancer, I never had free practice space, not one time. The only time I ever was even allowed to use practice space on my own for something my teacher choreographed for us or a show or what have you was when I taught for my teacher. So I was an employee, and that was the only time. And even then it had to be heavily regulated. She had to be aware when I was in there. You know, you had a lot of responsibility with locks and all of those things. So I get a lot of requests sometimes from students. They're like, oh my gosh, your studio space is so beautiful. Can't I just go in and work on my solo or my trio? Or can't I even work on stuff for class, for the recital? And while I admire so much people wanting to work on their material for classes and what have you, I also expect you to be able to find your own space. I quite literally had to work on competition pieces in my living room around tables and things. I never had the good fortune of having a space. Now, if I were in a different circumstance and I rented like a whole facility without other instructors, other events going on, nothing but me, perhaps I would rent out studio space for people. I would be pretty strict about the time. And also a lot of times I'm liable for everyone. So I have to be present. So that's taking time out of my day just to be present for them. So just something to think about. It's not a rant or a complaint. It's just with me teaching classes, yes, we're friends. Yes, I appreciate everybody, but I'm also running a business and I'm liable for everyone. So if anyone ever wants any tips on how to rent out space, they can definitely do it. I know it's a bummer, but a lot of dance studio space is hard to come by and expensive. So just something to think about. I think people forget that because we have a good time in class, that I'm not just their buddy and that we can just hang out all day. My time's valuable, just like yours is. And so it's important as a teacher to have all the love, all the empathy, but to also be really clear that this is a job and that there are other people that use the space and we need to be timely. So there's my teacher tip. Can you relate? Thanks. Bye.